some essential shuffle grooves. You're going to hear these in tons of blues recording, and if you want to play the blues, you need to know them. Okay, so let's dive right into developing and learning the shuffle feel. I find this is quite a challenging little groove for a lot of students of all ages because it's kind of hard to make these 8 notes, which could technically be straight if you're not careful. We have to swing them or shuffle them in this case. So what's going to be happening is you're going to be playing the quarter note of every beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're going to be playing the last triplet of each beat. So if I just play that rhythm on my sticks, just as a recap and maybe for someone who's forgot. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1, let 2, let 3, let 4. So you can see we are developing that shuffle feel. Okay, now if I take that to the hi-hat, it's going to sound like this. 1, let 2, let 3, let 4, let. Okay, so that's going to instantly give me a shuffle feel on the cymbal. Whether you play the hi-hat, the ride, that's going to be up to you as time goes on. Okay, so what I also want to do is I want to start developing the left hand to play a shuffle, but as soft as possible, okay? It's really nice to get both hands shuffling. It creates a very powerful and driving groove, especially when you're playing with a great blues band. So what we're going to do is we're going to play both hands, playing exactly the same. Be careful not to flam. Don't open it up too much and don't go too loud. I'm going to play super soft. Both hands are playing, same time. 1, let 2, let 3, let 4, let. So now I'd like to add in the bass drum on quarter notes. This adds a very powerful drive on the low end side of things, adding the bass drum to the quarter note. Sounds something like this. 1, let 2, let 3, let 4, let. Now let's try the same beat with the metronome at 80 beats per minute. So now let's try this with the loop. So now in this example, what I want to do is the exact same thing we just did, but I want to accent 2 and 4, which means play 2 and 4 a bit louder. This is a bit of a challenge, so you might want to just practice your left hand at first, okay? This is something that I did when I was first learning because it was a little bit of a challenge to get the double dynamic happening, the 2 dynamics happening, low and soft. So I do something like this. When you put that together with the hands, no bass drum yet, you get something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. When I add the bass drum to quarter notes, it sounds great. It completes the beat, it sounds amazing. This is a wonderful, wonderful shuffle that I use all the time. It sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's try this with the metronome at 80 beats per minute. Now let's try this with the loop, a little faster. All right, in this next example, we're going to do a double shuffle. So we're going to double both our hands playing the shuffle, and we're going to play the shuffle with the foot. So everything is shuffling all at the same time. The thing that makes this groove really stand out is that accent on 2 and 4. Now, for some of my students, they have a really tough time doing this. So I suggest doing the whole thing with no accent and then try to add the accent. Something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now let's try that with the metronome at 80 beats per minute. Now let's try that with the loop. So if you're having a bit of a hard time with that beat because of the bass drum, be patient. It's going to come. Take your time. Use the technique that you use, whether it's heel up, heel down, heel toe, whatever. Make sure that grooves. Sit with it. Make sure you can play a shuffle comfortably. And if not, if you don't feel that you have that yet, just keep the bass drum on quarter notes and 1 and 3 for now. But have fun. Good luck with that. Now let's dive into the Texas Shuffle. Now the Texas Shuffle comes from Texas. Hey, what do you know, right? Now the word shuffle is still meaning it's a shuffle. So the hi-hat is still going to play your shuffle pattern as we did in the previous examples, okay? The one thing that happens here is your snare drum is going to be on the last triplet of each beat. And I've actually had guitar players, artists from Texas call this a few different things. I've actually heard this called the backward shuffle and also the flat tire shuffle. So when you learn this, know there's going to be other terms out there that you might have to get someone to explain, like flat tire shuffle. When you hear me play it, you'll see what happens, okay? So you're playing the hi-hat on your shuffle, and your left hand is going to play on the last triplet of every count. Something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So when I add the bass drum to quarter notes, you're then going to find out why it's sometimes called the backward shuffle or the flat tire shuffle. Listen to this one. Bass drum on quarter notes with the same thing I just did. 1, 2, 3, 4. So with the sheet music, you'll see that the ride cymbal is actually playing the shuffle. We're playing the last triplet of each beat on the snare. We're going to add the left foot to 2 and 4 as a bit of an extra challenge, and of course the bass drum is going to be on quarter notes. So this is what this is going to sound like when we look at this exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try this with the metronome at 80 beats per minute. Now let's try it with the loop. All right, right, we got one more groove for you here, and this is great. This is called the Jazz Shuffle, and probably the most influential artist and song that I could think of is Art Blakey with the song Moanin'. This is fantastic because you're playing a left-hand shuffle, okay, but the right hand is going to play the jazz ride. So there is a relationship, but there's going to be a little bit of independence, nothing too serious, and this sounds great. So we're going to put the bass drum on the quarter notes and the left foot on the 2 and 4, just to make it a little more challenging for you. Now, if you're finding that's hard, play everything on the hi-hat, okay? And don't worry about the left foot. That can come in later on as a challenge for yourself. But what happens now is if I'm playing the shuffle, so the way that I learned this long time ago, because I had a hard time playing the jazz ride and adding the shuffle, I started the shuffle and added the jazz ride. For some reason, that was easier for me, but you can explore what's going to work for you the best. So nice and slow, I'm going to play 1, let 2, let 3, let 4, let on the snare drum, and I'm going to add the ride cymbal to 1, 2, let 3, 4, let 1. So your hands will line up when you do play the ride cymbal, but not on every single note. So if you look at the sheet music, you'll see which notes do not line up. Listen how it sounds. Here we go. 1, let 2, let 3, let 4, let. Now the next thing I would do, I wouldn't add the bass drum just yet. I would try to get that accent on 2 and 4 like we did in a previous example, okay? And try to keep this smooth if you can. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now for you brave souls out there, we could add the left foot when we play the accent, something like this. So you'll notice I kind of messed around with the tempo a little bit. I wanted to see if I could go a little faster, and I also noticed it sounded pretty cool when I went fast. So this over time is going to be great for faster tempos. So definitely spend some time slow tempo and fast tempo with this. And now, maybe easier said than done. Let's find out. Let's start with the, I'll start with the bass drum, and I'm going to see if I can add everything in at once. So explore your possibilities, see what's going to work for you. But here's the entire thing starting with the bass drum. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's try that with the metronome at 80 beats per minute. All right, let's try that with the loop now. So your assignment for this lesson is to practice these 5 shuffle grooves along with the provided loops. Now make sure you practice these shuffles at a few different tempos to really make sure you've got them down. Once you've completed your assignment, you can move on to the next lesson where we'll be looking at some 12/8 blues. I'll see you there.